Before we get into today's episode's reviews, I want you to take this time to subscribe to my channel, to like my video, and to comment on my video. And now that I allowed you some time to do that, I left off on episode 3, and we're going to go into episode 4. So episode 4 starts off with Rashad finding out that Will is in LA. Rashad, let me refresh your memory. Rashad is the guy from the basketball court that Will played on the basketball court. He, let me put on my brushes. I'm trying to put on my brushes. So, and Will and Trey's past. So Will and Trey were in the basketball court. They had the big fight. Will let off the gunfire. And That's who Rashad is. Rashad is the guy who he pointed the gun at. So Rashad finds out that Will is in LA because a video leaked of the basketball game. So Will hasn't found out that Rashad actually knows where he is yet, but he does have Jeffrey. No, actually, no, he did find out. Trey found out that Rashad knows where Will is from, I guess he was asking around, and someone let him know that he's looking for Will and he knows where he is. And he calls Will, and Will then is upset, and he's trying to figure out, he's worried, and he's frantic. So he goes to Jeffrey because he knows that Jeffrey can handle it, but he doesn't want Uncle Phil to know yet. So he has Jeffrey to look into Rashad and to basically get Rashad to forget about Will in a sense. So Jeffrey already knows of Rashad. He already knows everything that's going on in the household. I imagine that Uncle Phil confides in him and tells him about why Will is really there. You just go ahead and do what you need to do for Uncle Phil. So Uncle Phil assigns the task of campaigning around their old neighborhood so that Dalton and Will are actually helping Uncle Phil campaign by going around the neighborhood, seeing where they're at. So they're asking these questions, they're getting signatures, petitions, so that he can be on the ballot for district attorney. So split up and him get like his signatures on his own, and Carlton gets his signatures on his own. So they're both split up so they can each get signatures and they can be done faster. Carlton also made a deal with Uncle Phil. If Will and Carlton can get along, he would take him to the Grand Prix. So when Will learns that he made a deal with Uncle Phil, Will then makes a deal for himself so that Trey can come out and visit the following week. So then what ends up happening is that Will gets upset. He has a fight with Carlton, and then he gets to Jazz's like studio, Jazz's store. He owns like this record store that his grandfather passed down to him, and he owns this now record store. It's called Frankie's, and he's talking to Jazz, and Jazz is letting him know that it's not worth it. The fight was not worth it, and you guys just need to understand, like, you guys have to get along, and you guys are both getting something out of it. He's getting a trip to the Grand Prix, and you are getting your best friend to come out. So you need to just agree to disagree with her. Aunt Viv agreed to allow Trey to fly out because she sees that Carlton and Will are getting along, and that is all she wanted. So she did hold up her end of a bargain. And Will does tell Trey, we're going to fly him out and he's going to have a good time. So that's how his part ends. And then we're going to go into Hillary and Jazz, my favorite couple. So Hillary and Jazz. Now in the original, if you remember, Hillary cannot stand Jazz. They would never be together. In the reboot, Jazz and Hillary's relationship is the exact opposite. What she does is that when she makes the post and the social media page, she tags herself in the post, so her followers will go over to his page, and that's also very helpful for him. Point where after Jazz and Hillary are in the record store and they're conversing, Hillary also has Ashley with her. Ashley is helping put up posters around town with her, and they're supposed to be putting up a poster inside of Jazz's record store. So when Ashley realizes that Hillary is distracted, she takes it upon herself to walk away from the group, and she goes over to her friend's house. These are people that she met online. She has no idea who these people are, but luckily they're still in her same age group. So I'm guessing the people that she met online, it was on a site where only teenagers were allowed in this particular chat room. Because if this was the real world, Ashley would have been meeting some middle-aged man at a hotel or something. So I'm very happy that it didn't go that way, because it could have ended up badly. I mean, it still did end up a little bit, not even bad, it just didn't look right for her to go ahead to someone's house that she had no idea who they were. She met them online, and we find out that she met them online because Jeffrey later on finds her at that house, and she tells him the reason why she went away, the reason why she snuck away is because she knew that her parents wouldn't allow her to go meet people that she met online. So Jeffrey does tell her, because they were in her age group and because she wasn't in any danger at the time that he got her, that he's not going to tell Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. But next time, she just needs to be more cautious about the people that she's around, because this could have ended badly. So she does agree that she will do that next time, and Jeffrey does not tell Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil at the moment. And eventually, I think in season 2, he probably will have some reason to tell them if they bring up Ashley again, if her character is even more prominent in season 2, which I don't think they'll focus on. I think it'll just focus on Will, Hillary, and possibly Jazz. But Ashley may not be focused on until season 3, if there is a season 3, and hopefully there is, because I do see this show having great potential to have multiple renewals and new opportunities to build a storyline and to captivate the audience, because I really do like this reboot, and I really hope that we can get a season 3 and 4 out of this, and then maybe end there. But we'll see how the story goes and builds. Ashley is done dealing with Jeffrey, and their situation is done. We get back to Will. So Will and Lisa have come to this understanding that they're just going to be friends. They're not going to explore dating at this point in the episode. They're not going to explore it. So Will and Lisa are just going to be friends. Will has gotten on the basketball team. And remember, last episode, we left off how Will had got caught with the drugs in his pocket or whatever, in his backpack. So in this episode, this is the aftermath. So what ends up happening is that Will and Lisa are getting a little bit closer. Lisa has told Will that she lost her mom to lupus, and she's been dealing with a lot since the loss. And Carlton was her crutch when she lost her mom, and she's just been dealing with a lot of grief, and Carlton was there for her when that happened. And she basically tells him, since she's still grieving, she's not ready for a relationship. So at this time, we're also dealing with Aunt Viv. Aunt Viv, like I said, she's trying to get back into art. So as she's gradually getting back into art, Uncle Phil realizes that she is getting back into art per se, and he encourages her and supports her. Uncle Phil is really focused on the rally and getting his voters to vote for him. So he's not really too much focused on Aunt Viv and her art obsession at the moment. So we're not going to worry about Aunt Viv and her art obsession right now. when it comes down, he's more focused on the rally that he has to host in order to get the voters interested and for the community. So what he does when he hosts a rally, he's hosting a rally at this local skating rink, and Will invited everybody who signed the petition for him to be a district attorney to the skating ring, under the impression that Uncle Phil would pay for the food and the admission to the skating ring, which he did. He did pay for it after Will let him know that's what he did. He did pay for it, and he agreed to it because he saw that it was actually a good idea to let the voters see that Uncle Phil is not just some rich district attorney who wants to just run for district attorney just to run for district attorney. Like, he actually has a reason behind it. He actually has plans to make sure that he makes a change. So Will actually posing as, like, telling this lie that he's going to pay that the original plan was to pay for admission and to pay for food and drinks and everything, so everything would be taken care of, so these people would show up, was actually a good idea. At the rally, Will does find out that Lisa's father is a cop, and it brings up some traumatic situations for him. He starts to also think about the time that he was arrested in the park when he was in the basketball fight, when he played that basketball game. So when he learns that Lisa's dad is a cop, he kind of goes off on Lisa and lets her know that it wasn't okay for her not to tell him that he was a cop, which I think was completely unfair, because Lisa wouldn't have known that. Lisa doesn't know the real reason why you came to LA, so she would have known that she would have been triggered by that situation. And I'm with Lisa on this. Like, it wasn't really her job to tell him that his dad was a cop at the moment, because they weren't dating and he hadn't met Lisa's dad yet. They hadn't even gotten to that point in their relationship for them to have met each other's parents. They weren't even dating. So it really was like an escalation on his part. It really didn't require him to blow up on Lisa, but I understand the situation because they were trying to show the dynamics of their relationship in a different way. So when it gets down to that part and we see how Will overreacts on Lisa, Lisa's upset, she doesn't know how to take it. Uncle Phil makes this big speech where he asks questions and does holds a Q&A. Instead of giving out this big speech, he holds a Q&A, and they ask him all these supporting questions as to what he plans to do for the community. One of the things that they did kind of bring up was they did relate it to modern day a little bit with the George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter and the defund the police situation. So because Fred is a family friend and he just so happens to be there in his uniform, and Uncle Phil is asked this question about the LAPD and about whether he plans to kind of be lenient on the arrest charges with people who have been repeat offenders worse than the next. But so what they're wondering is if they're going to cut down on the arrest charges on certain criminals, like for the people who've committed murders, domestic violence, stuff like that. Something that doesn't, if it's a really serious offense, understandably they'll be in jail and prison. But if it's not that serious, will they limit the amount of years that they spend incarcerated versus continually extending their years in prison? This also leads into another question about defunding the police. So he says yes to defunding the police, and Fred is upset about that. Fred is upset because that's his friend, and he didn't know he felt that way about the LAPD. He didn't know that was something that was hurting their friendship. At the end of episode 4, we learned that Rashad had actually died. He died in a shootout at a strip club, and Will puts together that Jeffrey took care of it. Like, he really took care of it. And so, of course, Will is scared, but he's kind of relieved in a way regarding Rashad being dead, but he's scared of Jeffrey a little bit, or just impressed. I can't really tell with the facial expressions, but he may be like low-key scared and impressed at the same time. That Rashad is dead. We already know why he's dead, because of the situation where he was messing with the family, and he was also blackmailing the family. He also asked for $10,000 from the family, so that, well, actually 20 grand, because he then asked for $10,000 more, and he only got the 10,000 out of them. But then he went ahead and asked for more once he found out who Uncle Phil was and why Will was there. So he said he would take the $10,000 and leave and not ever speak to Will. But then when he found it out, he asked for a little bit more, and he was never planning to leave them alone. So Jeffrey ended things for good. So now that we got that out of the way, it's time to thank my subscribers for watching this video. I want you to like, comment, and share with your friends and family. Bye!